Yeah, I guess I'll start with the professional because that monopolizes a lot of my life. But so I work for a pretty cool, innovative startup company in the healthcare space called Lirio. So we're a personalization engine or behavior change platform for healthcare companies. So we partner with health plans, health providers, retail pharmacists. It's really anyone who is engaging a consumer about a health related behavior. Goal being to move them along their unique journeys to better health. So we're really focusing on the fact that people are different. And so you should probably communicate with people in an individualized way. So pretty cool, new, innovative company that really brought me into the healthcare space for the first time. I serve as the business development director there, kind of the primary salesperson, and
Hmm.
just gives me a really great opportunity to talk with really cool, great, impactful individuals throughout the healthcare industry. And so it's been a really fun role for me and allowed me to kind of dive straight into the healthcare industry, which was certainly not where I thought I'd be in my career.
Excellent. Good.
Yeah, so I think I mentioned earlier that Lirio was kind of my jumping into the healthcare industry. Not really where I thought I'd be. I went to Virginia Tech, studied finance, thought I was going to kind of go to New York, thought I was going to be in the finance industry, the whole thing that everyone talks about doing when they get a finance degree. That didn't necessarily happen. I met my wife. She was in school down here. I thought going to New York was probably a bad idea and I should take a different approach. Through a variety of things, I ended up with Lirio and they ended up in the healthcare industry. And to say I knew absolutely nothing about healthcare going into that would be an understatement. I, remember yelling up to my wife and asking her, what's the difference between inpatient and outpatient? What is, PCP? Like all the things that looking back, I'm like, how did someone get a job and also not know those things? Like that's
Right.
obvious, but I didn't know it. And I remember very early on in my kind of healthcare journey of like, I got to figure this out. I got to learn. I can't just, swag it. I asked a couple of, trusted colleagues and people that I work with, what do I do? And the first thing that they said was join HIMSS, get involved with HIMSS. So I, of course, started going to the national conference, but I also was looking for ways to get more connected in the community. And I thought that the Virginia HIMSS front was a perfect opportunity. And I don't typically do things halfway. I typically jump straight into the deep end. So instead of just becoming a member, I thought, yeah, I'm going to be a board member. That tracks. So I started going to all the events. I started getting involved. I started getting connected, and I started trying to figure out what is the best way to do that. And through maybe a little bit of luck and through a little bit of networking, I ended up volunteering on the board for a couple of years. That transitioned into me being the membership chair, which was a really great opportunity for me to learn not only more about the healthcare industry, but learn what the whole being a board member and what Virginia HIMSS was about. And so I got really connected with the membership. I got to learn more about the organizational affiliate program. I transitioned that into taking on the communications role. And after a couple of years of hard work and dedication to that, I'm now the president elect and get to go through the fun task of planning the fall conference. So hopefully that goes well. But it's been a fun journey, and it's just been a really helpful thing for me to actually understand the healthcare industry, and it's been really impactful for networking and just also for my job in general. So great organization. Yeah, I think it's a couple of different things. Like one is education, right? I think we can be a really great source for not only, our organizational affiliates like providers and, those individuals, people trying to get into the healthcare industry like I was, vendors. I think it's a really great source for education for people out there really trying to understand like what is this healthcare thing about? What is Virginia focused on? Like how can I get involved and just better understand the broader healthcare industry and also the health IT space? So I think education is certainly an important aspect. I think it's a really great networking group as well. Like I think really being a common space for people that have something in common, right? They're interested in
Right.
healthcare, they work in healthcare, they work in health IT to come together. And, obviously not all of us are the same. We're all very different people. We have very different interests. We have very different backgrounds, but having that one commonality of we have this and we can all connect and, just have a good time or learn or network or broaden our, careers and our horizons. Like, I think it's a really great society for that. And so, ever evolving and ever kind of changing what we focus on. But I think those are kind of the two sounding boards that really kind of hold true. I got two options. One, I feel like I would be a bartender because like
Okay.
being a bartender would just be a great time. Like I, as a salesperson, of course, enjoy talking with people, enjoy getting to know people. just feels like the bartender role would be a fun one for me. Like,
Does
growing up, I was like, I'm going to be a bartender. I got my bartender's license when I was in high school because, it turns out in Tennessee, they let you do that.
well that happens.
So like I've kind of dipped my toes in it and I feel like that would be a good time. So like that's like thing number one. The other option would be in some capacity as like something to do with travel. I love traveling. My wife and I love traveling. Like we're taking the little guy to Portugal here in a couple months for the first time overseas. Like the ultimate goal is, whenever I get done working, I want to travel the world for over a year. So like something along those lines, just like, whether it's just doing cool blogging on the travel front or potentially doing some travel agency work, some fun stuff there. I don't know. We'll see. I still haven't fully figured out what I want to be when I grow up. So I'll let you know when I figure it out.
Yep. Type of thing.
Yeah, I've been at Lirio for over 5 years now. I've been here since pretty much day one. And I think I always like to describe it as we were really early to the party, right? We were very early to AI and healthcare. We were very early to the value of personalization in healthcare. We were very early to thinking about it as a consumer experience, not just a patient experience, and really like opening up that experience to outside the walls of the health system. And so we were really earlier to that party, well before anyone was talking about it. And I think because we were so early to that party, now that everyone is talking about it, we have a really good seat at the table and we're being seen as the leader in the market in precision nudging, in personalization, as being that like thought leader in better communication within the healthcare space. And so, recent really exciting win is we actually got the registered trademark for precision nudging. Like that's really exciting. A lot of really cool things happening just on the market traction front, which of course, as the sales guy, I'm going to focus on as the exciting win.
Right.
But we're just seeing massive growth, not only in the provider space, but throughout retail pharmacists throughout the country. We just got our first international customer. So it's just really cool being here as long as I have been and kind of being in the boat maybe 3-4 years ago where we were fighting for every conversation, fighting for, everything that we got, to now people are calling us. Now people know our name. Now people are, seeking us because we are the leader in the market in what we do in precision nudging. And so it's just kind of cool to be a part of from the start. So I definitely would not put myself in the bucket as like a hardcore gamer, but I do have a tendency to get randomly addicted to various video games at various moments. I remember as a kid, like very into the NCAA football, NCAA basketball. I went through a period of college where I got pretty addicted to FIFA, and could still find myself getting fairly addicted to that. Most recently has been Rocket League, where I went through a pretty long stretch of playing Rocket League, way too many hours. Currently, which I think somewhat tracks with the little guy right there, have not played video games in a couple of years.
Sure.
But I look forward to finding the next one that will get me addicted.
Thing.
Yeah, so very diverse taste in music. I listen to pretty much everything. Really kind of depends on what my mood is, what I'm doing. Like if I'm working out, I'm listening to Wiz Khalifa potentially a little bit.
Gotcha.
Certainly enjoy that. If my wife and I are making dinner, maybe we put on Ed Sheeran, maybe we put on John Mayer, Michael Bublé. Love classic rock, love jazz like John Coltrane. So a lot of really diverse taste in music.
Yeah.
One of my wife and I's favorite things to do is to listen to the Ed Sheeran albums that we have. We recently bought a record player. And the reason we got to those albums is because one of the first concerts that we went to together was Ed Sheeran out in Ireland. We happened to catch his first concert after COVID ended. So we've just thoroughly enjoyed that. And I can say, you mentioned the wheels on the bus. Thankfully, my little guy, Emmett, has great taste in music and just likes dancing to whatever we put on. So that's been good.
Train them early. That's it.
It's brainwashing 101 here. That and Tennessee basketball. So yeah, I watch a lot of stuff, but I feel like all things Star Wars is kind of where I'm at right now. Like love Disney plus, love all the various things that they put out. But I would say I've dove fairly deep into the Star Wars universe, whether it's The Mandalorian, love Bad Batch, which just third season came out, which is a great show. Thoroughly enjoying that one. Really just all things Star Wars. And then I am a big sports fan. So I do let Tennessee football and Tennessee basketball essentially monopolize my schedule. So whenever that's on, I will be watching and hopefully in a good mood, but not always.
We'll see that.
I am a sports fan. I love all things sports and competition. Like grew up playing all the sports, pretty much anything that I could possibly do, I did. Grew up going to hundreds of Tennessee games growing up in Knoxville. So a lot of football games, a lot of basketball games. My dad actually played football at UT, so it's been like a big part of our life.
Gotcha.
It definitely does annoy my wife a little bit, though, that I will cancel plans and reschedule everything just to watch the game. And we are rapidly approaching the time of year where that happens very frequently. So if I have a meeting with you and it happens to be during a Tennessee game on a Thursday during March Madness, I apologize. I will potentially reschedule it.
That is right.
Morning.
Morning.
Yeah, I would say 100% morning. I wake up super early. It's continuing to get earlier and earlier with work and the little guy. But
Sure.
I think somewhere between 4 and 5, I wake up. I find my most productive hours are from 5 to 7. Although some days a week I can find some productivity late at night. It's more that middle of the day where I prefer not to do much. But yeah, definitely a morning person. Yeah, get involved, right? Like that, I think, is the most stereotypical, simple way to look at it. But if you want to get involved, get involved. Like, one, join, that's obvious. But like joining is not enough because, of course, joining is going to get you on a list where you get emails, but that's not actually how you get involved. You got to show up, come to events, get to know people, like network with individuals that are in the same shoes that you are, network with speakers, network with the board. Like, just get involved, show up, and try to figure out what Virginia HIMSS can be for you and where you can get the most value out of it. Maybe it's being a volunteer, maybe it's being a board member, maybe it's just participating in events once a year, but just be involved, show up. And I would also say, like, as a new member, we're always looking for fresh perspectives on what's important to you from your walk of life, like what's important to you as you go into the healthcare industry in Virginia HIMSS. So don't be shy about giving us feedback as a board so that we can continue to serve the member population and put stuff out there that's most relevant to you.
No.
I mean, I want to go everywhere. So like I'm not one of those person that's like, hey, we've been there, that's where I'm always going to go. I want to always go to new places. I do have some favorite places that we've been. Loved Peru. Like that was just like the coolest trip ever. We randomly decided to do it a couple of years ago. Had no idea what we were doing. Like went through some company, like booked the trip. My wife told me it was my turn to plan the trip, and so I did it. I had no idea what to expect. I just kind of did it, sent the money, and hoped for the best. Thank God it worked out because I think she might have left me if it didn't. Because we showed up in this country, don't speak Spanish, had no real right to know what we were possibly doing, and thank God someone was there to pick us up. But it ended up being just like one of the coolest trips we've ever done. So that was really fun. Absolutely loved Ireland. Like that was our pre-COVID trip that we had planned, and then it got canceled. And so I got to spend like basically 3 years planning that trip. And so I got a pretty good Ireland itinerary if anyone needs one. And then outside of that, I just want to keep exploring. Like I want to go to Hawaii. I want to go to Australia. Really want to go to Antarctica. Really want to go to Japan. And then just explore Europe as much as humanly possible. Like I feel like a year would be a good starting place to see as many things as humanly possible, although it's probably not enough. So the more travel, the better.